The man in charge of the Red Storm coming by way of Duke. Good acquisition for the school. Mike Cragg, the new AD. Mike, welcome to the Red Storm Report. Welcome to campus. How are you?
Thank you. We're doing great. It's been 3 months on campus and hit the ground running, and been an exciting year, and basketball included, of course.
Yeah.
So we've had a lot of fun.
How you fitting in? Does it feel different?
It's definitely different.
It's got to, right?
It's a little different.
Yeah.
But you know what the great thing is? We have great people here, and as a university, and people have been so welcoming and inclusive of myself and our family.
Yeah.
And so it's felt very much like home very quickly. And
Nice.
that was the most important thing in trying to find the right place for us to go to after 31 years at Duke.
Yeah.
And so it had to be a special place, and we feel like we found one.
Well said. And I think one of the things that's appealing, many things about you, your resume, but also, you know, you're old enough to have truly, and so am I, by the way, I'm not putting you out on an island by yourself,
good.
to have fully, to have seen what St. John's as a basketball power, what it's like, and that's the vision to restore that.
Yeah.
Where do you start?
Well, I think the first step was observing and listening, and just put yourself in the environment, which is what I've done at Duke for all my years in different roles, and just really evaluating and how can I help best. And you know what Chris and the staff have done over their 3+ years is pretty amazing, really, when you put it into a bigger picture of somebody that's never been a head coach, hadn't been in college athletics since he played, and through a period of 2 ADs and 3 interim AD stints. When you add all of that and on the brink of a special season, and good kids, not good kids, great kids, high quality, talented, it's pretty remarkable. And so how can I help get that better? And so for me, I think we certainly know what a championship basketball program, championship sports program should look like at Duke, and my experiences there. And so where does that fit in its role in the university? Like you said, St. John's is an iconic brand. It has national power, and it's in the largest and greatest venue of all of sports in Madison Square Garden in New York City.
That's right.
And so those are all the things that are our assets. And then our deficits, we need to figure out how to get better, whether it's that day-to-day living in Carnesecca, our facilities, our care for the student athletes, all of those things are all where I can help, and certainly have been doing that for a long time.
And one thing about St. John's is when things go well, they're covered like the Knicks.
Yeah.
I mean, they get a professional element back page, and leading the local shows, and whether it's radio, whether it's TV. That had to be pretty galvanizing. Even though it's very early in the process for you, that must have felt pretty good to see, okay, this is what it feels like when things go well.
Yeah, I mean, I think, being on the other side of it for all the years of competition against St. John's, I've only seen St. John's do well. If you look at the record of St. John's against Duke, it's pretty
Marcus
amazing.
Hatton with the steal, Bootsy Thornton going bonkers at the Garden.
I don't remember all the details.
St. John's fans do, that's for sure.
I know that. I do know the last loss for a non-conference game in Cameron was against St. John's in 2000. But anyway, my point is that I know how powerful, and you use the word galvanizing, St. John's basketball can be. And it has an iconic place in the game. And so I'm not surprised to see that. I think we have even more to do as that day-to-day expectations and building of a championship program, and a hunger for that from our fan base and our alums.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
they're starving.
And they have a strong support mechanism. But we've got to do that every day, not just when we're good. And so as we're striving to be good consistently, like, there needs to be that enthusiasm and hunger. And I've seen that. I think there's things like with students and things that we can do better, and we're going to work on that. Those are the intentional things you do at a championship program level.
Yeah. That
takes effort, it takes focus, and then it allows our coaches to coach and our players to be players, but then all of us as administrators and how you build that infrastructure.
I can only imagine what you learned just being in close proximity to Coach K every day. What is the most transferable characteristic that, not that you necessarily verbally espoused to everybody around these buildings here, but you took with you on the plane, or if you drove, that you just brought from that campus to here that is now innately in you?
Yeah, well, I think it's how you operate day to day as a person. You're being trustworthy and speaking honest truth. And what Coach would say is that doesn't mean you're always telling people what they want to hear.
Yeah.
You're telling them the truth. So it might be something tough, and it might be something great, but they believe you. And so having that believability every day is something that I value, and that culture has to be. And so it starts with being honest, being trustworthy, and then being believable. And so I think I've been given that opportunity here. You know, as far as Coach K goes, I mean, there's nobody greater in my life outside of my own family to be able to model yourself after, and to be, you know, how to run, in this case, an athletic department, but just how to conduct yourself everyday life. I mean, like I said, he's the ultimate role model.
He's incredible. All right, so that chair you're sitting in is red.
It is.
The checks say St. John's University now.
They do.
And you're playing Duke coming up.
I know.
You better be rooting for the Johnnies,
Mike. Of course
Mike.
I am, absolutely. That's not in question. I have no problem with that. It will be very surreal that the seat I've sat in for the last 20 years is literally going to be across the aisle from where I'll be sitting.
Yeah.
And so it'll be a surreal time. And I've been back there a couple times in the transition of moving and all that stuff. So, you know, I've obviously have a lot of good friends, and, you know, for 31 years being there.
That's
so
amazing.
It's not something you can say goodbye to like that.
No.
But when it comes to February 2nd and sitting there, I will be rooting hard as I do every game for St. John's. And then the rest of the year, I'll hope that Duke is doing well as well.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to toe the line. And Coach K's got great affinity for Chris. He recruited Chris.
Correct.
You know, a lot of the younger St. John's fans might not know this, but it was between really St. John's, Virginia, and Duke.
Yep.
And you know, Coach K almost. Can you imagine if Coach K had his hands on Mullin as a player? Oh God.
Well, I
mean,
mean,
you
it
kidding
would
me?
have changed history for sure. It would have upped it by a year. I mean, it's interesting because I've heard all the stories, and now being with Chris and hearing his side of the stories as well. And the recruiting was, I mean, very much Duke had a chance. But that focus for the Duke program and for Coach K, actually not getting Chris, changed how Coach K did his recruiting and business. And so the year after is the group of Johnny Dawkins, Mark Allery, Jay Billis, David Henderson, the year after Tommy Amaker, where he was laser focused on less being more. And Chris was still in an era where they were recruiting a lot of guys, the top level players, but not as laser focused on, okay, we have to get Johnny Dawkins in that example.
Interesting.
And so Coach will look at Chris's decision not to come to Duke as one of the things that propelled Duke to become Duke.
Wow.
Isn't that funny?
That is pretty funny.
So I'd always heard that story from a different perspective.
Sure.
And had it confirmed through Chris's experiences of his recruiting and how much he loved Duke. And then Coach K and Chris did stay in touch over the years. Obviously the dream team, Coach K was an assistant coach with that, with Coach Daly.
Yep.
Chris being a part of that. And then Chris's involvement with USA Basketball continued on. And his role as in front office and everything with the Warriors and the Kings, and so they stayed close. Obviously, when I first became interested in this job, they spoke, and Chris has been terrific. You know, the thing is that he's perfect for St. John's. Obviously, as the most celebrated player in the history, as he should be, and most accomplished. But a passion and a heart for this place. That's what appealed to me. The first time I met him on my interview process is Chris talked about how much he couldn't stand St. John's not to be good, and that he has a love and a passion for it. And so that pure, like, and we say leading with your heart, that's the purity of, that's his intention. So whatever that means, how you get it done, you know, he's a high quality individual, is attracting great players here. Like I said, we're on the brink of a special season. And so when the first time I met Chris, officially I knew him over the years a little bit, but officially here, you know, that appealed to me, that I knew we had the right fit at St. John's. It's my job to help him be the best coach he can be. And I don't think that's really happened for the last now 4 years. And I know we can help. I know I can help him with it.
Mike, welcome to St. John's.
Thanks, Brandon.
Really enjoyed it.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Mike Cragg, of course, the new AD here at St. John's. Quick timeout. More of the Red Storm Report right after this.